Alrighty, so with the Leeds Cup tournament officially kick off tomorrow, and what a way to kick off the Leeds Cup tournament with Cruz Azul versus Inter Miami, which I'm pretty sure the world will really be watching this game closely because it's the hotly anticipated debut of Lionel Messi. I thought today I will look at some of the big questions coming into this League Cup tournament, and specifically five big questions coming into this Leeds Cup tournament because there's definitely a lot of question about this tournament, a tournament that we have never seen happen before in MLS and Liga MX. And I think one of the biggest question coming into this tournament is how serious will each of these teams will take on this tournament. Now, I know there's going to be some naysayer that said that this tournament is clearly for a cash grab, and clearly in some of these MLS versus Liga MX games, especially some of the marquee ones, people are going to have to pay a lot to go to that game, and it's just kind of a cash grab for some of these club and the people that organize the tournament. But I do think that teams will definitely take this very seriously. And I think there are a couple of factors why teams will take this very seriously. One of the factor is that not only you get to win a trophy, but CCL spot is definitely up for grabs in terms of who wins this tournament, and also I believe the runner-ups also will get a CCL berth heading into next season. But I think the thing that will really get teams to be taking this tournament seriously is the fact that there's literally nothing else that they need to worry about when this tournament is going to happen. One of the things we've seen before with U.S. Open Cup that has happened is that teams kind of had to balance whether they take it seriously because there's some league games that's going to be happening in the weekend, and the same goes for teams that go into the CONCACAF Champions League. Well, one of the unique thing about this tournament when it was announced is that this basically will be a tournament that paused the season for both Liga MX and MLS. So basically, these managers they really don't have anything else to worry about. They have to basically play their best player in this one. I mean, you could maybe say that some might be putting some squad rotation player because maybe they're thinking about another big game that's going to be happening in the group stage. But I do think that, like I said, teams are going to be taking this tournament seriously, and I think the teams that are probably going to take the this tournament the most serious is probably the teams that are struggling right now in MLS and in Liga MX, because for those teams that are struggling in the standings, and even for some that probably have no shot in terms of making the playoffs, this is really it for them in terms of the only thing that they can salvage in terms of calling this season not a complete failure, and that not only the fact that these teams will feel like, well, we're not doing well in the league, but this is just a complete clean slate because everybody is on even playing field when this tournament is begin. This is a big opportunity for some of these teams that are not doing well and really showcase that if they can do well in this tournament, not necessarily win the whole tournament, but at least able to get out of the group and maybe make a bit of a deep run. And I think it's definitely going to be considered a success and may overlook some of the failure that is going on in league play this season for those teams. Now, the second big question is who will have the better depth to take on games that will come thick and fast. So one of the thing about this tournament is that it's only a month long. There's going to be games that's going to be happening almost every, I think, 4 days in the group stage. But once we get to the knockout round, I think it's like every 3 days. And because this is kind of like a World Cup style tournament, there's going to be a lot of games in short amount of period, and this will really test the depth of these MLS team. And this is where I think Liga MX does have the advantage because some of these Liga MX team does have better depth than what we've seen with MLS team. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see that not only the quality is gonna be a big factor in terms of who will make it to the next round, but it's also about the depth pieces. Who will have the best depth where you can maybe bring in some of these players off the bench on the depth that can make an instant impact to a game. So yeah, that's gonna be a big question to see who of course will do so, because I think the it's not just about the team that has the best quality, but the team that has the best quality and also have the most depth, and also have that past history of doing well in tournament will most likely win this whole thing. The third big question is how good are some of these worst team in Liga MX when they face against MLS opposition? Now, this is kind of a weird question to ask because you would think that I would be maybe asking about how will some of these best team in Liga MX will do face against MLS opposition, and I think we already have the answer for that. I mean, just look at these CONCACAF Champions League kind of matchup that we've seen before, and that it's been kind of a mixed bag. Some MLS team has done well against some of the best Liga MX teams. Some of them haven't done so well. But the big question now is, well, what about some of these worst teams in Liga MX? These teams that are not very well known in Liga MX or just kind of considered to be bottom feeder. And I think it's kind of big to ask that is because we have never seen that this happen where usually when MLS team face against Liga MX team, it usually always tends to be teams that are like near the top of the standings and teams that done well in the previous season. But what about these teams that haven't done well? So teams like Puebla, Juarez, Mazatlan, and all these teams that haven't really done well in the league the last couple of seasons, and even the Casa, I'll throw in there too. How will they do against MLS opposition? And maybe can really be a litmus test in terms of judging the fact that not only is Liga MX kind of better than MLS, but in just a whole is Liga MX even some of the worst team in those league can still take on some of the better or even some of the worst team right now in MLS. So that should be very fascinating to see how that will go. But in terms of the fourth big question, will MLS get the advantage of teams in mid-season form against Liga MX team that is still in early season form in the Apertura? So one of the thing about this Leeds Cup, and I think when it was scheduled, it was pretty obvious that it feels like the table has turned with the way that how when CCL was happening, how MLS team always have a disadvantage because they're still in early season form, and a lot of them haven't really been playing a lot of competitive game against Liga MX opponent that have already played a lot of competitive games and are in mid-season form. Well, now it's basically reverse. Now, I will say that we did kind of see a small sample size of this during the COVID shortened season. Remember the COVID shortened season where a lot of MLS team was still kind of like already in mid-season form, and a lot of Liga MX team was still in early season form by the time when we get to the deeper part of the knockout round because the COVID year we had the tournament got delayed until all the way up to October. So yeah, I think we kind of got an answer where it kind of didn't matter because Liga MX was still able to prevail. They still look decent, and also not to mention the Liga MX team did win that tournament. But that being said, you can also make the argument of, well, there was no fans in the stands. I mean, there was no fans in the stands for that. It will be a little bit different now that there is fans in the stands, and not only the fans in the stands, but also this taking place in the US, which depending on certain amount of teams, it could be home field advantage for MLS team, it could be home field advantage of Liga MX team, especially if you have some of these more well-known Liga MX team like America or Chivas and so forth, they're gonna get heavy home field advantage with the fans basically invading the stadium. But what going back to this question about the mid-season form, we'll see. We'll see whether or not if MLS team will get that advantage. And it's not like Liga MX team, even if they're in early part of the season of the Apertura, it's not like they had a long break before the Apertura. I mean, the Clausura only finished like a month uh ago after the Apertura season began. I mean, that's the thing about Liga MX where there really isn't like an off season in Liga MX. Once things is finished, immediately they pick up into the Apertura or Clausura season. Then the last big question coming out of this League Cups tournament, and I think this is probably the biggest question that people is gonna ask in general. What's the lasting impact of this tournament to casual fans in North America and the world? What is the everlasting impact once this tournament is beginning and once it ends? Now, obviously, I think the impact is definitely strong with the way that, with Lionel Messi coming to MLS and going to Inter Miami, it has really drawn a lot more attention to this tournament than I think it has it has before. But if you kind of subtract that, it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of interest is it gonna be. Will casual fans really draw into this tournament? Will this tournament be kind of something that we're gonna see taking really seriously? Just like what I said about the first big question. It should be very interesting because, like I said, this is something we have never seen before in MLS and Liga MX history, or even something that we don't see this ever happen in the world. I mean, you don't usually see like some European league that decide to just kind of pause their season so they can have themselves sell a UEFA Champions League kind of thing. I mean that just does not happen in Europe. So It's very unique, but it should be very interesting. And honestly, I'm actually excited about this. I mean, I know before, when League Cup was happening, the back in the old format, I wasn't really that interested because it feels like it's a little bit of a cash grab. But with the way that how this tournament is put, this tournament really kind of reminds me a little bit of the MLS's back tournament. And if you know anything about the MLS's back tournament, I really enjoyed that tournament. And even though that was just kind of a one off thing because of the COVID pandemic that pretty much the world was dealing with, it was fun to see. And I feel like this could be something similar to that. And the big difference now is that there's going to be fans in the stands for this, unlike the MLS's back tournament that we seen in 2020. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and also let me know in the comments below what's your big question about this Leeds Cup tournament. Again, there's going to be a lot of big question, a lot of answers that will be answering in terms of these questions coming into this League Cups tournament. But I want you to let me know what's your some of your big question about this Leeds Cup tournament, and also as always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.